Good, happy Tuesday morning, May 19, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday morning, so let's begin. But first, we begin with your coronavirus in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. Let's take a look. And here is a look at that COVID-19 in New Hampshire information. There are 3,652 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,500,753 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 172 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 368 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 90,312 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where current cases are in New Hampshire. Manchester, 543. And this map of New Hampshire shows you where total cases of COVID-19 are in New Hampshire. Manchester, 837. Now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with new cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations, and in the red are the deaths. This chart here, current cases. In the purple, current COVID-19 cases, and in the orange, current hospitalizations. In this chart here, total cases. Total COVID-19 cases in the purple, total hospitalizations in the orange, deaths red and blue recovered. And now this chart here shows you by age group. This chart here shows you by female and male. And this chart here shows you risk information. This chart here shows you race/ethnicity of cases. This chart here shows you hospitalizations. This chart here shows you deaths. This chart here shows you percent of New Hampshire population. And again, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Outdoor activities such as mini golf, shooting ranges can resume, governor says. More daycares encouraged to open. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Some work can't stop because our communities need you, which is why we're working to keep you working, to help you keep homes and properties maintained, your farm running.
As the outdoor dining experiment moves forward, now other business sectors are being added to this phase of what Governor Chris Sununu calls Stay-at-Home 2.0. Childcare, backed by $25 million from the Federal CARES Act, can now reopen with restrictions. There will be daily screenings, not just for kids, but also providers and staff. The state is mandating reduced care group sizes of 10 or fewer people per room and requiring the closure of communal spaces if possible.
If we see cases popping up, clusters popping up in different settings. We will continue to investigate those aggressively to better understand what the chains of transmission, so to speak, are.
Limited outdoor attractions are also being allowed to flex open, like shooting ranges, fishing charters, and bike and canoe rentals. Equestrian facilities are also being allowed to reopen.
And those are separate, just to be clear, from amusement parks, which would be like the Canopy Lake parks, the water countries, and those are clearly a little more challenging.
As for workers who feel unsafe returning to the job, the governor says unemployment remains an option, but businesses can't guarantee those employees' former jobs won't be filled.
We can appreciate that people may still have anxiety, but you can't ask a business to shut down because nobody wants to come to work. They have to be allowed to move forward, given that we are allowing them to move forward in a productive way. The alternative is the business doesn't open, and they go bankrupt, and everyone loses their jobs.
One other note from today's briefing, the governor and executive council are poised for a clash when they meet on Wednesday over transparency related to COVID-19 spending. Today, the governor said he sent 250 pages worth of information on that spending to the councilors, trying to assuage some of their concerns. Reporting live in Concord tonight, Adam Sexton, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Less than 4% of antibody tests in New Hampshire show prior exposure to COVID-19. Declining percentage of active infection tests come back positive. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Some work can't stop because our communities need you, which is why we're working to keep you working.
As restaurants resume outdoor dining, Governor Chris Sununu is adding several other parts of the economy to the reopening list, effective tonight. With $25 million in help from the Federal CARES Act, the state has now released new guidance to encourage child care facilities to open with restrictions.
Daily screenings of children and staff, increased hygiene practices, limit on room capacity, staggered drop-off or pickup times.
A wide range of outdoor activities now have the green light, from mini golf and driving ranges to fishing charters, equestrian facilities, bike and canoe rentals, and shooting ranges. But larger amusement parks and gatherings don't make the list. The governor remains concerned about the virus's ability to quickly spread.
I've always said I anticipate a second surge. I anticipate that. My job is to unfortunately plan for the worst. I would love it if it doesn't come, and it'll be wonderful if it doesn't happen.
When it comes to COVID-19 testing, some encouraging signs tonight. The state says 49,000 Granite Staters have gotten a viral test, and 4,500 tested for antibodies. 2 to 4% are positive cases. But health leaders warn that number could jump if they relax restrictions too quickly.
I want to stress that despite the effectiveness of the social distancing measures to date, there is likely a large percentage of people in the community who remain unexposed.
The state is also beginning to look at closing down some of those flex area bed sites that were set up a while ago. They were set up in case hospitals were to reach surge capacity. Currently, there are 14 of those sites across New Hampshire. Reporting live in Concord, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow features turn negative a day after stock surge on vaccine hope. Stock features turned slightly lower in early trading Tuesday after the market scored its best session in 6 weeks a day earlier on rising optimism about coronavirus vaccine. Mixed feelings as big three car makers after production. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
And with the country reopening again, those growing tensions over whether it's safe tonight, here the crowds, the questions, and the workers who are torn. Some who say it's just too soon, others who say the risk of going back is simply the reality we all now face. Here's Eva Pilgrim.
Tonight, more than 130,000 auto workers back on the job for the first time in 8 weeks, some with mixed feelings.
Shouldn't be here. It's not fair.
The big three car makers restarting production.
Life is risk. I think this is a minor one. I'm willing to take it to put food on the table.
Workers now getting screened with temperature checks.
You've been around anyone that had COVID in the last 14 days that you're aware of?
Wearing masks, gloves, and protective eyewear. It comes as many Americans appear eager to get back to some semblance of normal life. Over the weekend, beaches in Los Angeles packed despite orders barring sunbathing. In New Jersey, one of the hardest hit states, thousands crowding boardwalks and flocking to the beach as well.
It's nice to soak up the sun back on the beach.
This morning, defiance outside this New Jersey gym.
USA! USA!
Determined to open its doors despite state orders.
Social distancing rules in place, temperatures taken out the door.
Today, Massachusetts becoming the 49th state to start to reopen. Connecticut to follow on Wednesday.
We cannot move forward unless we commit to continuing to slow the spread.
But tonight, concern about the spread after scenes like this at bars and restaurants, even on hiking trails.
Too many people without a mask.
In New York, officers wading through the crowds with banners showing what 6 feet apart looks like. Tonight, cases of the virus still on the rise in 10 states. Texas reopening gyms 2 days after marking its highest one-day increase in cases. Hundreds tied to meatpacking plants.
When we increase testing in hotspots, the number of people testing positive is going to spike. Then what we find is that usually within a week or two, the flare-up is contained.
And social distancing is an issue across the country. This park putting down circles to show people just how far apart they need to be. David?
Yeah, we can see some of those circles over your shoulders there, Eva. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. Goodbye, everyone.